This article presents a number of methodologies that have been suggested for the task of comparing the greatest chess players in history. Statistical methods offer objectivity, but, while there is agreement on systems to rate the strengths of current players, there is disagreement on whether such techniques can be applied to players from different generations who never competed against each other. Statistical methods. Elo System equals. Perhaps the best-known statistical model is that devised by Elo in 1960 and further elaborated on in his 1978 book The Rating of Chess Players, Past and Present. He gave ratings to players corresponding to their performance over the best 5-year span of their career. According to this system, the highest ratings achieved were 2725 Jose Copyright Royal Capablanca, 2720, Mikhail Botvinnik, Emanuel Lasker, 2700. Mikhail Tal, 2690, Alexander Alekhine, Paul Morphy, Vasily Smyslov. Though published in 1978, Elo's list did not include 5-year averages for Bobby Fischer and Anatoly Karpov. It did list January 1978 ratings of 2780 for Fischer and 2725 for Karpov. In 1970, FIDE adopted Elo's system for rating current players. So one way to compare players of different eras is to compare their Elo ratings. The best ever Elo ratings are tabulated below. As of August 2015, there were 99 chess players in history who broke 2,700 and 9 of them exceeded 2,800. Particularly notable are the peak ratings of Fischer, Karpov and Kasparov, who achieved their peak ratings in earlier years. Average rating over time equals. The average Elo rating of top players has risen over time. For instance, the average of the top 10 active players rose from 2751 in July 2000 to 2794 in July 2014, a 43-point increase in 14 years. The average rating of the top 100 players, meanwhile, increased from 2644 to 2703, a 59-point increase. Many people believe that this rise is mostly due to a system artifact known as ratings inflation, making it impractical to compare players of different eras. Elo was of the opinion that it was futile to attempt to use ratings to compare players from different eras. In his view, they could only possibly measure the strength of a player as compared to his or her contemporaries. He also stated that the process of rating players was in any case rather approximate. He compared it to the measurement of the position of a cork bobbing up and down on the surface of agitated water with a yardstick tied to a rope and which is swaying in the wind. Chess metrics equals. Many statisticians since Elo have devised similar methods to retrospectively rate players. Jeff Sonner's rating system is called chess metrics. This system takes account of many games played after the publication of Elo's book, and claims to take account of the rating inflation that the Elo system has allegedly suffered. One caveat is that a chess metrics rating takes into account the frequency of play. According to Sonners, as soon as you go a month without playing, your chess metrics rating will start to drop. Sonners, like Elo, claims that it is impossible to compare the strength of players from different eras, saying, "Of course, a rating always indicates the level of dominance of a particular player against contemporary peers. It says nothing about whether the player is stronger or weaker in their actual technical chess skill than a player far removed from them in time. So while we cannot say that Bobby Fischer in the early 1970s or Jose Copyright Capablanca in the early 1920s were the strongest players of all time, we can say with a certain amount of confidence that they were the two most dominant players of all time. That is the extent of what these ratings can tell us." Nevertheless, Sonner's website does compare players from different eras. Including data until December 2004, the ratings were, in 2005, Sonners used chess metrics to evaluate historical annual performance ratings and came to the conclusion that Kasparov was dominant for the most years, followed by Karpov and Lasker. He also published the following list of the highest ratings ever attained according to calculations done at the start of each month. Warriors of the Mind equals, in contrast to Elo and Sonner's systems, Raymond Keane and Nathan Davinsky's book Warriors of the Mind attempts to establish a rating system claiming to compare directly the strength of players active in different eras, and so determine the strongest player of all time. Considering games played between 64 of the strongest players in history, they came up with the following top 10. These Divinsky numbers are not on the same scale as Elo ratings. Keenan-Divinsky's system has met with limited acceptance, and Warriors of the Mind has been accused of arbitrarily selecting players in bias towards modern players. Moves played compared with computer choices. A computer-based method of analyzing chess abilities across history came from Maj Gwid and Ivan Bratko from the Department of Computer and Information Science of University of Ljubljana, Slovenia, in 2006. The basis for their evaluation was the difference between the position values resulting from the moves played by the human chess player and the moves chosen as best by the chess program Crafty. They compared the average number of errors in the player's game. Opening moves were excluded, in an attempt to negate the progress in chess opening theory. The method received a number of criticisms, including, the study used a modified version of Crafty rather than the standard version. Even the standard version of Crafty was not strong enough to evaluate the world champion's play. One of the modifications restricted the search depth to 12 half moves, which is often insufficient. As of 2006, Crafty's Elo rating was 2657, below many historical top human players and several other computer programs. A similar project was conducted in 2007 using Rubka 2.3.2a and a modified version of Crafty 20.14. It arrived at the following results. An analysis done with Rubka 3 and comparisons with modern ratings can be found at http://www.scribd.com/132380754/chess player analysis by Rubka 3-14 ply. A study by ChessDB, based on an analysis of over 50,000 chess games, claims that the strength of a player as determined by the method of Maj Gwid and Ivan Bratko correlates with the Elo rating strength of modern players. Subjective lists. Many prominent players and chess writers have offered their own rankings of the greatest players. Bobby Fischer In 1964 Bobby Fischer listed his top 10 in Chess World magazine. Morphy, Staunton, Steinitz, Tarrasch, Chigorin, Alekhine, Capablanca, Spassky, Tal, Reshevsky. He considered Morphy the best, writing, in a set match he would beat anyone alive today. In 1970 Fischer named Morphy, Steinitz, Capablanca, Botvinnik, Petrosian, Tal, Spassky, Reshevsky, Svitozar Gligorya and Bent Larsen the greatest chess players in history. Irving Cheranov In 1974, popular chess author Irving Cheranov published an article titled Who Were the Greatest? In the English magazine Chess. He followed this up with his 1976 book The Golden Dozen, in which he ranked his all-time top 12. 1. Capablanca, 2. Alekhine, 3. Lasker, 4. Fischer, 5. Botvinnik, 6. Petrosian, 7. Tal, 8. Smyslov, 9. Spassky, 10. Brunstein, 11. Rubinstein, and 12. Nimzowicz. Miguel Quinteros In a 1992 interview GM Miguel Quinteros gave the opinion, I think Fischer was and still is the greatest chess player of all time. During his absence other good chess players have appeared. But no one equals Fischer's talent and perfection. Viswanathan Anand In 2000, when Karpov, Korchnoi and Kasparov were still active, Anand listed his top 10 as Fischer, Morphy, Lasker, Capablanca, Steinitz, Tal, Korchnoi, Kurs, Karpov and Kasparov. When interviewed in 2008 shortly after Fischer's death, he ranked Fischer and Kasparov as the greatest, with Kasparov a little ahead by virtue of being on top for so many years. In 2012, Anand stated that he considered Fischer the greatest, because of the hurdles he faced. Chess informant readers Svitozar Gligorya reported in his book Shall We Play Fischer Random Chess? A Eurosh. At the beginning of 2001 a large poll for the 10 greatest chess players of the 20th century, selected by chess informant readers resulted in Fischer having the highest percentage of votes and finishing as number 1, ahead of Kasparov, Alekhine, Capablanca, Botvinnik, Karpov, Tal, Lasker, Anand and Korchnoi. David Edmonds and Johnny Adino. BBC award-winning journalists, from their book Bobby Fischer Goes to War, How the Soviets Lost the Most Extraordinary Chess Match of All to Mir Yurosh. Fischer, some will maintain, was the outstanding player in chess history, though there are powerful advocates too for Lasker, Capablanca, Alekhine, and Kasparov. Many chess players will dismiss such comparisons as meaningless, akin to the futile attempt to grade the supreme musicians of all time. But the manner in which Fischer stormed his way to Reykjavik, his breathtaking dominance at the Palma de Mallorca Interzonal, the trouncings of Taimanov, Larsen, and Petrosiani, all this was unprecedented. There never has been an era in modern chess during which one player has so overshadowed all others. Vladimir Krumnik. In a 2005 interview, Vladimir Krumnik stated, "The other world champions had something missing. I can't say the same about Kasparov, he can do everything." In an interview in 2011, Vladimir Krumnik said about Anand, "I always considered him to be a colossal talent, one of the greatest in the whole history of chess. I think that in terms of play Anand is in no way weaker than Kasparov, and in the last 5 or 6 years he's made a qualitative leap that's made it possible to consider him one of the great chess players." Leonard Barden. In his 2008 obituary of Bobby Fischer, Leonard Barden wrote that most experts rank Kasparov as the greatest ever, with either Fischer or Karpov second. Levin Aronian. In a 2012 interview, Levin Aronian stated that he considers Alexander Alekhine the greatest player of all time. Magnus Carlsen. In 2012, Magnus Carlsen said that Kasparov is the greatest player of all time, adding that while Fischer may have been better at his best, Kasparov remained at the top for much longer. World champions by world title reigns. The number of world championship wins, or world championship reigns, is considered by some as a measure of chess greatness. The table below organizes the world champions in order of championship wins. The table is made more complicated by the split between the classical and FIDE world titles between 1993 and 2006. See also, List of FIDE chess world number ones. References